going on, everybody? You are here with another edition of the NRW Checkpoint. Of course, I'm your man, WebsterStyle, the man, the voice of fragrance, and I'm always joined by my man, Brian Sapph. Brian, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing okay. How about yourself?
Doing good, man. It's warm, so it's finally starting to feel like spring, even though summer is creeping at the doorsteps.
I definitely agree with you. So actively avoiding outside. It's hot.
I feel you. So we talked a little while ago when PlayStation, Sony revealed their transition to their tiered game subscription service. Right. Just yesterday, they released a full lineup of games. Now, I'm deferring to you, Brian, because I want to ask you, one, have you gotten a chance to look at what they're offering?
No, I've heard, well, not heard, but I've seen some like articles and things or whatever, kind of detailing. I haven't seen the full list, but based on what I saw in the articles or whatever, I know like Ape Escape is coming and a few other games that I've been interested in from my childhood. So that's dope.
Let me ask you this. You have, I know you have PlayStation Plus. You have PlayStation Now as well?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right. Because that's why I was wondering, how does this differ from what they currently offer? With that, now, from someone who is not in the PlayStation ecosystem, I see this and I say, okay, this is a pretty robust lineup. Two, I'm thinking a lot of these games on Game Pass, so there's a one-to-one comparison already.
Right.
But three, one of the things that I am impressed with, which I'm glad they did, is that I would say a pseudo backwards compatibility.
Right.
Where that with the premium tier, you do have access. And again, it's behind the paywall, and I have a problem with that. Those PS1, PS2 games, PS3 is still cloud only, which you know how I feel about cloud only games. But they are remastering some of those games on the system. For instance, I'm looking at this list here, and what you said, Ape Escape, Siphon Filter is a classic series, Tekken 2, but Ape Escape 2 is remastered, Arc the Lad, Twilight of Spirits is remastered, the Dark Cloud series, Jack 2, Jack 3, Jack X, well, pretty much all of Jack and Daxter. Siren, Wild Arms 3. Now, again, if you are someone who has been in a PlayStation ecosystem, that's music, that's like classic PS1, PS2 gaming right there, which is amazing. But this is the one thing that I heard, and I didn't read this in the article, but I heard this when someone was talking about it the other day, that if you have purchased these games before and it's tied to your account, you will have access to these games, these backwards compatible, these older games, once the system comes in line without having to pay for the service.
Okay.
So
that makes sense.
That is great. Now, if you'll be able to buy them outright, if you don't already own them, that I'm not sure of, but that's a step in the right direction with regards to how they're implementing this. I still think let me put it this way. I don't see how this differs greatly from what they offered before outside of consolidating everything into one. And then now they're adding PS5 games like Miles Morales is there, Spider-Man is there, a couple other I think Horizon Forbidden West is there. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's a trial. So these game trials, 2-hour game trials for Uncharted, Legacy of Thieves Collection, Horizon Forbidden West, Cybertruck 2027, Farming Simulator 2022, Okay. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, and then WWE 2K22. So those are the PS4 5 games that are going to have a 2-hour timed exclusive trial period for those premium. So that's what is that $17.99 SKU or $16.99 SKU?
The top one. So,
I just remember it's more than Game Pass Ultimate. That's all I remember. As a comparison, because that's really what you're comparing, those top tiers, because Game Pass Ultimate is really compared to whatever top tier Sony is, as far as where you get everything involved. So for a PlayStation user, it's great. Like Death Stranding is here, Demon Souls, Destruction All Stars, which was there already, if I remember correctly. You have a lot of one-to-one with what they offer now with PlayStation Now. So with that, consumers are going to get their money's worth in that regard. I think for me, and this is one of the things I go back to Sony. Sony doesn't have a great track record for games staying on their system. Like even this transition, I read articles about there are certain games that are leaving as they transition to this new service. And that is probably for a subscription service. I would want games to stay on there for a pretty reasonable period of time, at least 6 months. And that is from some of those higher profile games. Sony's not necessarily known for that.
No. And I think what they'll come to realize as the PlayStation like tier system kind of rolls out is that they're gonna have to adapt to that kind of situation, because you're talking to a community of gamers that have backlogs of these games already. Like we want to have time to play them. So I think at some point in time they will, let's extend this or let's put this back and kind of restructure things. This is the first, time PlayStation has really done anything with the PlayStation Plus that, kind of lends to a more inclusive experience for gamers across the multiple genres or generations of the console. So definitely going to be some trial and error. I think by the time this is all said and done with, PlayStation Now will be fully consolidated into the PlayStation Plus, tier system or whatever. And I think that's what we're starting to see as far as these older games popping up, because there's always been a disconnect there. This coming from somebody who's been a part of the PlayStation ecosystem since like day one. Like I had a PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the PSP, all that. So I think what we're going to see is them try to figure out like, how do we monetize our back catalog but not leave our player base stranded in between the transition between PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus. So I don't know. I'm excited about it. I actually had Ape Escape when I was a kid. I beat the entire Jack and Dexter like series, like even the PlayStation Portable version. Like I play all of those games. Tekken is always a classic, even though we have a current gen Tekken game out. Like the older games are still fun. I'm excited. I didn't get PlayStation Now because new games were coming out. I didn't have necessarily a need or a use to revisit my early PlayStation days and give those old games a spin again. But if they're going to be included in the PlayStation premium subscription or whatever, then I'm looking forward to playing, because at least Jack and Dexter, I'm like, that's a series that to this day, I'm hoping Naughty Dog picks back up and it's like, let's add another one for current gen. Same thing with Ape Escape. I feel like that would make an amazing like open world kind of game or whatever, just based on the premise of it.
Right.
But I don't know. We'll see how this works out, because you bring up some valid points.
Yeah. My biggest question, I'm looking at the list, and I know this isn't a full listing. Well, there are two main questions. We already know that they're not dropping first-party titles in this service. That's already a given.
Yeah, they said that.
How or if will third parties adopt dropping titles day one into this? That's a question I have, because I think one of the biggest draws of Game Pass is that you have those titles, whether they're Xbox exclusive or cross-platform, which drop into the service on day one that they're released. And they're clearly these studios are getting a bag. Sony's not known for dishing out money like that. I'll put it that way. So they're getting a bag, not just from Microsoft, but also game sales. Let me be frank. Trek to Yomi, that is literally the only game I'm playing right now. Why? Because it's in Game Pass. Yeah. It's addictive, it's fun, and that turn it takes after like chapter 3, I'm like, whoa, you never see that coming. That's all I'll say about that. But I say that to say I'm playing it because of Game Pass. I'm talking about it because of Game Pass. I'm telling you, whoever else, if you don't have Game Pass, to buy it because it's that good. That's what Game Pass does. That's that Game Pass effect. And they have the numbers to show it. So I'm wondering if Sony will do the same thing, or will developers, publishers do the same thing with this new PlayStation Plus service. And if they get have the same effect.
Well, I would assume so. Hopefully, like that would make the most sense to move in a kind of Game Pass kind of direction. What I've been seeing as far as news is concerned with the articles and everything, PlayStation has come out and said that they're kind of requiring every game to have at least some kind of trial period or whatever. And they're even going a step further as to taking like the responsibility of creating these trials. So earlier you mentioned like, oh, some of these games coming, they're going to have like 2-hour trial periods or whatever. I'm assuming that the 2-hour trial thing is a PlayStation, you know, kind of situation. Like they set that up for themselves or whatever. But as far as like smaller developers and indie companies are concerned, you know, a demo, or maybe it will be some kind of extended length Game Pass type situation, just because it makes sense to do that. Oftentimes with PlayStation, or whenever these new games come out, they tend to hit the PlayStation store. You know, we see how they're doing or whatever, and then at some point within, I don't know, a few months of a release, I'm thinking of Fall Guys specifically, they go on to PlayStation Plus as free for a month or whatever, and everybody gets a hold of the game. And I guess that would be like the Game Pass, like the best competitor or comparison to Game
I agree,
Pass. Yeah, because a lot of the games that I do have on my console, I got for free for the monthly game or whatever.
Same
for
here.
PlayStation
Xbox Live Gold, right?
So I assume that with PlayStation being on this like new tier type of situation, game trials is going to like make or break the whole comparison between Game Pass, because that's a phenomenal feature. Like I wish PlayStation had a Game Pass kind of situation. The time trials or whatever that they're expected to be offering or whatever, like that's a step in the right direction to me. But you bring up a good point. Like some of these smaller companies or whatever, they probably can utilize that time trial period to a greater extent by, you know, doing like Game Pass and say, you know, it's here for 6 months. If you enjoy it, or if you beat it or whatever, spend the money to buy it and, you know, keep it.
I agree with you. I just, and going back to that list, my second question is, what is Sony doing to really populate their service with those smaller titles? Because that is really one of the quintessential features that keeps me racking up my Microsoft points every month to keep Game Pass. I already tell you I don't pay for Game Pass. I would, but if I don't have to, I'm not going to. But to make sure I keep the service because of all of those indie titles, that's like, even I saw, like I talked about the Artful Escape a couple weeks ago, that's now going to be on the PlayStation Plus and a couple other indie games as well. How is Sony going to adapt? Because the one thing with this last couple years, Sony has been a real butthole when it comes to indie games. And you've seen the Xbox become a preferred platform because Microsoft has really been pushing indie games. It's like, it was weird. Like they did this great job in the 360 era, totally dropped the ball at beginning of this one with the Xbox One. Well, we all know the story of changing leadership and how Phil Spencer just came in and just like, he's a gamer. He was a gamer first, but that tide changed where now Xbox and Xbox platforms are like that place for indie games again, like they were with Xbox Live Arcade. So I'm wondering how Sony will use their new PlayStation Plus tiered system to really get their focus back on indie games and indie creators. Because, you know, we've all heard the stories from indie creators over the past year or so about how difficult it's been to work with Sony, how difficult it has been for gamers to find their games on the PlayStation platform, how much Sony charges for promotion on their platform.
I was about to say,
we ain't even talking about crossplay.
I don't know. I see what you're saying, and hopefully they have some kind of I don't know, caveat for the indie gamers and the indie developers and stuff like that. I do know, just being a part of the PlayStation ecosystem, they do a fairly good job at promoting their games. Like they have sales that are specific to indie games, like,
Right.
this is indie game week or whatever, so all the indie games are 75% off in the PlayStation Store. Like they do stuff like that in order to get the word out about these games. But like you said, we've heard the stories and we see like indie games don't necessarily get the push that they deserve, especially when it comes to the larger game titles that don't necessarily need PlayStation incorporating them into the state of play, because they have their own platforms to push out their information. But I don't know. This is a new era for PlayStation, and it's interesting that this is coming on the heels of the PlayStation 5, like, finally starting to get its footing within the stores and everything, and have a more consistent way for people to buy the consoles and things. I don't know. It's a lot of stuff happening, a lot of stuff in the air. PlayStation still acquiring studios.
It's an exciting time to be a gamer. I'll put it that way.
Yes,
and
definitely.
One of the things I'll say this, and we move on because we got a lot of release this week, is I am excited for this PlayStation Plus service. I'm excited for it to succeed, because if they succeed, that means Microsoft responds.
Yes.
And that's what I'm looking forward to as someone who has an Xbox. That means they'll be like, oh, Sony, you doing this? We're going to one up you. And that means I get even more content and more games. I love, it's the thing about the console wars that people just forget. When the companies are doing it right, everybody's performing at like the top level, and the only we win. Gamers win.
Yeah, I wish we could stop bickering over.
Yeah, that's what I understand about that.
Console got the better graphics. Like
no one cares.
Yeah, nobody cares. Your eyes can't even process that shit. They tell you got 4K on your TV. You can't really tell because eyes aren't built that way. But I'm excited for it, and I agree with you. It's an exciting time to be a gamer, just simply because like these people are putting up the money for one, and then they're actually listening to their gaming communities and giving us what we want, because Game Pass on PlayStation, like we need that. So whatever this game trial situation is, I really, really hope that it evolves to be something that can actually compete with Game Pass. And I understand why they're not necessarily in a rush for like those first party titles and those, big games to like go directly to free.
And I understand that. I totally understand that.
They want to make their money. But if they hold true to what they said, and they're going to require all these games to have some kind of 2-hour, or at the minimum a 2-hour trial period or whatever, this could be very, very interesting, because
it definitely could. Now, like I said, I'm excited, and it's funny because you talk about the better graphics. I'm thinking I am pushing mid-40s. I started playing on an Atari 2600. I don't care about graphics. Like how I started and where I am are like light years is not even a good comparison.
Right.
So I'm just about games and gameplay, like straight up. If it's fun to play, that's all that matters.
Fun to play, good story, and worth the $60 price tag you about to put on my
Hopefully
head.
Not $60. Oh, side note, Evil Dead is only $40.
Okay, right.
I saw that. I'm like, oh, okay, because I know we were talking about that last week.
Yeah,
but that was a last week release. This week, let's get into it. And first up, we have Tennis Manager 2022 for PC. This is pretty self-explanatory. It's a tennis management sports simulator game. I've never got into the manager games. I know that they've had like NFL football and then football soccer managers over the years. Even like GM mode on like 2K and MLB to show like not in theory it sounds good, but just I've never gotten into it. But a lot of people find it fun, but I totally get the appeal of it. I understand just the stats and making moves, and you want to be that person in charge. Totally get that. Totally understand that. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, 2K does it really well. Like that was one of the things back when I used to play 2K, when they included like franchise mode and stuff like that. I was like, okay, this is done. This is dope. You go sit in the press conferences, you get to decide how your players respond to these dumb questions that these reporters ask the NBA players. Like it's a really fun kind of, you know, way to have a different take on the game. Because as you know, players, you're used to playing as the players, you know. Oh, I'm LeBron today, or oh, I'm Kobe today, or whatever. It's also fun to just be the GMs and like decide who's getting traded, you know, what teams or what compositions go up against these different teams when you're in the playoffs and stuff. It's dope. I personally, I don't know. I like the management style games, but it just depends on what it is. And I find that doing those kind of management games on mobile is the most fun and it makes the most sense. So I don't know. I like tennis, so we'll see what Tennis Manager is looking like.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. So
yeah, it does.
Next up, we have Deadcraft, and that's on the pretty much everything PC, PS4, 5, Xbox One, SX, and the Switch. And this is an action simulator. And when I was looking at the trailer and reading up on it, it's like you're in this post-apocalyptic world, and it's like zombie farming simulator. It looked kind of interesting and weird at the same time when I looked at the trailer. I'm probably not doing it any kind of justice, but it definitely looks interesting. I'll give that to it as well. I love these indie titles and these indie studios that are just pumping out these quirky games.
Yeah, because that's needed. Like, I think, which is what we talked about earlier when it came to like, Activision being acquired and stuff by Xbox or Microsoft or whatever. Like, how long are players of these games gonna stick around for new Call of Duties? And you know, the battle royale scene is saturated at this point. Like, we want something different while we wait for our larger title RPGs to come out, the Forspokens and things like that, the Halo Infinite, you know, to make their, you know, whatever they're doing. Like, we want some kind of games that are going to pass the time, and stuff like that is pretty cool. I enjoy those little like indie games. I probably bought more indie games over the last year than I have. Like,
yeah, same here.
Yeah, because they're just fun and they're easy to pick up, and they usually work on whatever console that you know prefer to get them in.
Yep. Brian, we have a lot of simulations this week. Next one up is Endzone, A World Apart Survivor Edition. This game was originally on the PC and now is being ported over to the consoles. In this case, the PS5. Current generation consoles. It's weird that they're current generations. And this is a strategy simulation sort of city building game. It looks very like steampunk medieval-ish when I looked at it.
That, which, you know, I tend to like those as well. I just recently, like I said, indie games have been the majority of my spending as far as games are concerned. This kind of sounds like a game I just bought recently, Frostpunk, which is another city builder that, you know, sets you in this it's not post-apocalyptic, but there's a great freeze happening and you kind of have to build these like heat generators to keep your towns from freezing over. I don't know, but this one sounds cool. Endzone. You said zombies in this and stuff?
No, that was Deadcraft.
Oh, okay. So this one, A World Apart Survival. I have to look at a trailer for it another time, but I like games like this. City builders are always fun. I'm a big Tycoon fan, Roller Coaster Tycoon, you know, City Tycoon. Like, so if this is anything like that, it'll be a good one.
Okay, interesting. Next up, we have Eternal Threads, and that's on the PC, PS4, and Xbox One. And this is classified as a first-person puzzle game. When I watched the trailer, this reminded me, because there's like a time travel element involved. So, and this is for older, probably PC gamers. Is one of those games that I'm taking it back, that you got bundled in with your Packard Bell in like 1997 and whatnot. This reminded me of a game called The Journeyman Project. Now, only because of the time travel aspects, but there's like time travel. You're solving this puzzle. You're solving out this, trying to solve this mystery. It looked very interesting. So in that regard, so it's definitely something I'll be on the lookout for.
Okay. Yeah, these puzzle games. A first-person shooter puzzle game. I don't think I've ever experienced.
It was more first-person puzzle, maybe not first-person shooter part of it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right.
So next up, and it's funny that I didn't know this game was coming out, but we talked about the other Vampire the Masquerade game they came out with last week or the week before for PS5, and how that was very much action oriented. And we were like, oh, they're shying away from the RPG elements. Well, nope. This week we have Vampire the Masquerade Swansong for the PC, PS4, 5, Xbox One, S, X, and the Switch. And this is your more traditional action RPG-ish version of Vampire the Masquerade. And we are going to be watching a trailer for that to get a better understanding of the gameplay and how it works. But there we go. We were asking about it. Where's the RPG elements? Oh, they're changing it up. Here we go. They just released a whole nother game that's the straight RPG. Not a bad idea, actually.
Yeah, I'm excited to look at the trailer for that because I don't know. I feel like vampire games, they be slept on. Like Castlevania left a huge hole in the genre. I don't remember when. I don't know. Has there been a new Castlevania game in the last couple of years or so? I don't know.
I feel like I don't know.
Yeah. It's I know they ventured into television. They have the Netflix series,
which is awesome.
Like that. Yeah, which is really good. But I don't know. I feel like
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I've seen like everything is like a re-release.
Right. So I'm excited. I like games. I like games that take the horror aspect of, pop culture and make them into like RPGs and stuff like that. I don't know, for whatever reason, every once in a while I jump back into what's the game with all of the villains? I'll think of it. But I'm excited to watch the trailer for that.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. Maybe not so to play, just talked about last time, just my overall history with the series and just how it's such a part of that whole, I don't know, trading card genre boom of the past 20 years.
Oh, Dead by Daylight. That's what it's called. But continue. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's that one. So now we have another simulator, and this is APICO, and this is a beekeeping simulator. And it's out for PC, which actually sounds hilariously interesting. Like, that is not a simulator that I would think of, but it's a simulator that sounds very interesting to play. Yeah,
and we'll see, because I don't know. Insect games. I'm like, don't really care for the bugs like that, but I would like to understand the life of a beekeeper, and that's what APICO sounds like it's trying to lend itself to. So that's interesting. How much honey can you harvest from your bees?
Exactly. I'm pretty sure that is going to be part of it.
Yeah, like I'm interested to see what that's looking like.
All right, so that's that's not the last simulator we have on this list, but let's get into Cotton Fantasy for the PS4 and the Switch. And I saw this title and I said, "What in the hell is Cotton Fantasy?" And then I saw the trailer. I'm like, "Oh, I know what game this is. I've never played it before, but I've seen it." So it's a side-scrolling shooter, and you're like a witch on a broom, and you're shooting stuff. I'm like, "You've seen it before. Trust me." And then when I saw it, I'm like, it's straight Japanese. It is a straight Japanese game. It's one of those games you don't ever see come out in the West, which is why it's only on the PS4 and Switch.
Yeah, that makes complete sense now, because I don't think anything with cotton in the title will go over well in today's PC.
Didn't think about it that
way. Right. Because I seen it too. I'm like, what the fuck is Cotton Fantasy?
Exactly. That's what
like, I don't have fantasy of the Cotton Days, but side scroller, you said it's a shooter. I don't know, it could be interesting. Oh, we have the trailer for it. Okay. So,
we definitely I had to put the trailer for that on the show list.
How does the cotton play into the game?
Exactly. I think Cotton's the name of the character.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I think so.
Definitely
I don't know. I didn't do that much research on it. So next up, we have Dolmen. This is an action RPG. And this looks very futuristic. We're watching a trailer for that as well. And that's coming out for the PC, PS4, 5, Xbox One, S, and X. And this is one that I'm like, oh, this looks interesting. It's definitely something that I will want to check out when it comes out. So that's why I had to put the trailer in. Again, good action RPGs. There are a lot of them, but not all of them are great.
No, which, this is why Game Pass is so essential to the community, because instead of spending the money, you could just play it for free, see if you fuck with it. If not, put it back. I wish we could just have this across the board, but I don't know. Endless Summer or Dolmen, we'll see. We'll see how dull the men actually are in this game.
Right, exactly. So I'm looking forward to that and watching that trailer. I just remembered it. Okay, so last week we were talking about Vampire the Masquerade, and I said there was this show on Fox that was kind of like that, and it took inspiration. It was called Kindred the Embraced. So you had a lot, and this is like, goodness gracious, this is 20 plus years. This is 1996 now. I thought about it, I had to look at it. I'm like, I know it's late 90s. So I think a lot of that was taken from Vampire the Masquerade. So it's definitely been a series that has really stood the test of time as far as the fan base and the sort of mythology that is set forth. So I know we're off of that, but it took me a minute to remember.
No, that's fine. Yeah. And that's cool too. Like I said, vampire games, I don't know, they need more. Like,
right.
That's fun. That specific niche tends to be like enjoyable. There's another game that just came out where it's vampires, but it's like is it the mask? Is it the Well, you know what? Let's look at the trailer and then I'll see.
Okay. So next up, we have our last simulation game of the list, not last game, and that is the Endless Summer Search for Surf. So someone got the IP from the 1965 surfing movie, The Endless Summer, and decided to make a surfing simulator based on it. So this is on PC and Xbox One, S, and X. It came out on PC last year. So at this point, the new release is just for Xbox. So surfing simulators, I for one haven't played any surfing games since TNC Surf Designs on the Nintendo, the NES. I'd say I'm like a huge fan of surfing games, and I feel like that's really a niche genre right now.
Definitely. I think we'll see sales favor in the regions of the country that actually have access to waves to surf, which, I mean, anybody that's on the coast pretty much, but
pretty much,
yeah, definitely a niche game though. I've always wanted to learn how to surf. I'm surrounded by water, so I should have done that by now, but who knows?
Still got time.
Yeah,
tomorrow's another day to learn.
It is.
Right.
It's also hot out.
And the last one on the list is, and we've had some very peculiar games this week, was probably one of the most peculiar, and I hope I say this right, and it's Umurangi Generation. And this is on the PC, Switch, Xbox One, S, and X. It came out for the PC in 2020 and it's Switch in 2021. And it's classified as a first-person photography game. Okay.
Photography simulator.
It looks interesting. It's just kind of, I wouldn't say dystopian future, but it's definitely an odd future. Shout out to the band Odd Future for the weird reference. And this is also, we talked about PlayStation Now earlier. This is a game that's dropping in Game Pass. I think it's available today for me to download now. I think about it. So it's available in Game Pass game one. Because let me tell you, this is the sort of game that these subscription services need, or I should say, the games like this need these subscription services, because this is a game that nobody would buy. and I don't mean that is a horrible game, but there's no name recognition. The whole premise is something that's very foreign, especially to Western gamers.
Right.
And the fact that those that would be really enamored with it are really going to be a small population of gamers. You're putting on something like Game Pass, and the fact that when I go to that Game Pass screen and I see what's coming soon, it's right there in my face that is coming soon. So then that I'm more inclined to click on it, see what it's about, and watch a trailer, which is exactly what I did. Because when I saw this on the list, I'm like, that game looks familiar. I know I've seen this somewhere before. and that is the beauty of at least how Microsoft has been doing Game Pass, especially when it's highlighting these indie games. And going back to the top of the show, I hope that Sony really does the same thing with PlayStation Now, because I think it's just a win for all of us as far as the game is concerned. Everybody makes more money. There's clearly these companies are making money hand over foot, and they can't even sell systems like that.
Right. So I agree with you. I hope, because I mean, the only access that I have to games like this is I literally have to go into the PlayStation store and just see, scroll through the endless list of games there. Now, if I see something based on a picture that catches my eye, click on it, check out, the trailer, because every game in the PlayStation store has a trailer, just like on Xbox. But oftentimes there's no demo, which sucks because, that used to be a thing back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about getting demo disc in the mail every holiday season from PlayStation, what's coming. So hopefully, PlayStation moves to that. But in terms of the, was it your Umurangi generation or whatever?
Yeah.
Kind of sounds like a variant Pokemon Snap. Which,
exactly what I was thinking about.
Yeah, which, I mean, depending on the mechanics of the game and like what you're actually taking pictures of, it could be fun, because I don't know, they keep making Pokemon Snaps. There's a new one supposed to be coming out soon, or it just came out recently, or whatever the case might be. I'm not necessarily a Pokemon Snap fan, but clearly there is a fan base within that niche genre that likes these first-person shooter photography games. So
it's all about execution. It's really what it's like. It all is about. It's, you can have a great game, great premise, even a weird premise, but if you execute it right, you can really get people hooked on playing it.
Definitely.
So that's it for the new releases. Let's get into our trailers. First up, we have Vampire the Masquerade Swansong.
The swan song of the masquerading vampire.
We are on the verge of ruin. As Prince of Boston, I have gathered you all here to deal with an unprecedented threat. An attack against me and against the Boston Camarilla.
This attack against me is unprecedented.
We know nothing of our enemies.
She must be the queen vampire.
There will be consequences.
There are always consequences.
There are not many who I can count on in this court. Infiltrate, investigate, negotiate for me. I want answers. When the time comes, I will
even though this is clearly based on last gen or targeting last gen,
you are the oldest among
but
us. You have proven your
I'm not impressed.
To solve problems time
with the graphics.
Yeah, I'm not impressed at all. I mean, they're serviceable, but we've seen games that came out for PS4 and Xbox that Xbox One that really do a whole lot better.
Laisha, you are the most discreet and clear-sighted. Go to
where the
Xbox
and my Xbox One to turn
and
on.
Search for answers and answers.
I'm interested in the story though.
Yeah,
and to your point, like I do notice, like with these graphics or whatever, like some of these cutscenes, they're like choppy, and then some of these other scenes they look really like smooth. So I'm wondering like what happened in the room when they were.
What system was this trailer taken on? That's what I wonder.
Your reputation and talent for diplomacy.
I mean, it looks fun.
It does.
This RPG element, and I think that
and reveal their secrets.
We're missing this. I think Cyberpunk 2077 trying to kind of killed a lot of people's RPG hype. Not saying it's a good or a bad game. I'm saying just kind of the fallout behind it.
I mean, it released as a bad game, so.
But this looks pretty cool. I'm feeling the
times of crisis,
tree system of progression,
traits and talents come
graphics. Yeah, it's kind of growing on me. Just maybe not what I would expect. But this is coming on the Switch as well, so I gotta remember that.
Yeah, they might have some scaled down.
No matter the circumstances, the
if you're running this on a current gen system, then they may be a upgrade patch.
Right.
But be careful.
This looks dope though.
Don't
like
let your beast
I don't know
this
whole story aspect of it. You know, obviously the vampire powers are like the main draw.
Your choices will affect the
I know it kind of feels like a vampire version of Max Payne.
We will not afford mistakes.
Like that's what I'm picking up,
the right choices,
which is not bad at all. I enjoyed the Max Payne series, and I like vampires. So.
And we are the predator.
Yeah, it looks cool though. I mean, it's definitely something that I will tap into to play.
Yeah,
if I get the opportunity, because it looks really cool, and I think that
interesting story.
Good vampire. I mean, vampires have always been my favorite movie monster.
Yeah,
over the years. So I've loved kind of how modern media literature has kind of transformed vampires in different ways, and especially with this sort of vampire society and its hierarchies. You know, we saw some of that in Blade, which is probably not the best representation of that, considering it's Blade.
Right.
But as far as the drama and everything, actually, no, Blade 2 is a pretty good representation of that, in my opinion.
Yeah, Blade 2, and then
we should not talk about Blade 3.
I mean, you didn't like Trinity? You didn't like it? It was
Wesley got my money to see it in the theater. Okay. I'll put it that way. That's how much strength I put on it. And it had its moments.
Okay.
But I have never watched it again.
Well,
hold up. This is a video game show. Let's talk about it.
Right.
Blade Trinity had everything going for it. It had Ryan Reynolds. It had Jessica Biel.
Right.
Triple H is in the movie. Parker Posey's in the movie. Parker Posey's amazing. She's a great actress.
But
then you had Dominic Dude as Dracula. Really? And I'm not saying he's a bad actor. He is not the person I would have cast in that role.
Right.
There's nothing Dracula about him. He was there because he looked intimidating.
Yeah.
Acting wise, character wise, he was not the person. And that the movie had flaws, but that killed everything for me. Dominic Purcelli, I think his name is. I love him though. He's been great in Prison Break, great when he was in Flash and in Legends of Tomorrow. We ain't talking about that show either. But he was not the person they should have cast as Dracula in that movie. That's all.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can see it. I can see now that you say that, because that was the least climactic moment of the movie.
And so CG.
When it was supposed to be like the moment, but
yes.
I don't know. I enjoyed the Blade series for what it was. Definitely looking forward to seeing Blade return in the MCU.
Mahershala Ali, yes, sir.
Yes, Mahershala Ali is picking up the mantle. I'm excited for that. But in terms of the vampire, genre, whatever, I agree with you. I like how it's evolved and expanded over the years. I think about specifically the Underworld franchise.
Yes. Thinking of that as well,
I really enjoy. Yeah,
I love the houses aspect. I love the different clans. I love the infighting. It provides so much lore and drama for writers and to really build on, to make really exciting, engaging media. Like one of my favorite movies of all time is Fright Night. And that is the classic sort of take on vampires, which is awesome. But then you have things like, and I really think Vampire the Masquerade is probably one of the first sort of medium. It took vampires and made this whole like different classes, different houses lore, and as far as what I can remember.
Okay.
And this is mid to early 90s that this came out. So it may have been something before, but if card games were mainstream, but it was mainstream for us. But then, like I said, Kindred, The Embrace on Fox, That was 1996. That wasn't that long after this card games came out. And then Blade was 97 or 98, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you had other games, other sort of genre that really dealt with that. I feel like The Hunger with David Bowie back in the day. I feel like that had some of that, but I haven't seen that movie in so long. And that was like, I feel like that was 82, if I remember correctly. 82 was a good year for horror, even though I was like 4.
I mean, things was kicking back then.
Was, but yeah, I'm the more I talk about it, the more I'm getting excited about getting a chance to play this game.
Yeah, for all those reasons you just said, like, I really like. I don't know what it is. Well, I do know what it is. It's the fangs and the supernatural powers that vampires come along with. But they've been like that. That particular how was it character? I don't know. Vampires in general have been something that have been built out, like I said, over the generations, and it's been interesting watching where they go from teen dramas like Vampire Diaries. We should not
talk about Twilight.
Oh yeah. From teen dramas to Vampire Diaries, you know. Shout out to Twilight.
These vampires are not sparkling. That's all that matters.
Right. And then, like we talked about the Underworld series, Blade. I even think about how the vampires have even expanded into, you know, kid spaces like Transylvania.
Right.
Those movies are hilarious.
Right.
And then there's another one that's like really, we step into the Marvel realm with Morbius and stuff like that. Their spin on vampires and stuff. I mean, it's there. It's there. Really? I'm just really, saying. Brian? You just have to mention it because it's a vampire movie. Morbius and Mr. Sinister. They have their vampire thing going on. I don't know. It's just vampires are probably my favorite of the supernatural like horror genre. They're just so cool, things they can do.
Well, I agree with you on there. And let's leave from the bloodsuckers. And we're not picking Cotton, but it's definitely Cotton involved in some way, shape, or form. Let's get into the trailer for Cotton Fantasy.
No damn fantasy. I don't know what's going on. Never seen those guys.
Like I said, 30th anniversary. You've seen this.
Okay.
You probably know what it was. Does it look familiar at all?
I mean, it looks like a newer version of like Galaga and shit like that. Like,
yeah, I remember seeing this on like those games that never got brought over here, or these series that never come over.
I feel like I may have played this in an arcade before.
Maybe, yeah. But you know, Japan always has those weird side scrollers.
Yeah.
Like that one with the two buff dudes that's in like G-strings. You ever seen that one? Oh, I gotta find out. Oh, G4, the old G4, they used to make fun of that all the time.
Which I'm so glad that they found a way to revitalize G4.
Yeah. Well, this is cool. I like the 2D, 3D aspects of it. You know, you can't really go wrong with a good shooter.
Right. Especially one simple like this.
Yeah, it's just mindless fun, and it's probably hard as hell.
Yeah, I was about to say, you can start advancing through these levels, and I'm pretty sure the story will change.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. And the last trailer we have is the sci-fi action RPG Dolmen.
Peggy 16.
Talking about.
No. A space odyssey. Nairimmissi Sagnorts Sastirikaiknil. Hillilton. Ibetkaiknil.
I say it looks cool.
Yeah. I'm tuned in. Go for it.
I'm getting kind of Mass Effect vibes from it a little bit.
Okay. Definitely can see that.
Like I'm getting Mass Effect combined with Ghosts of Mars combined with Chronicles of Riddick.
I want to see some gameplay. Like, they just brought out these cool weapons. Swing it, let's go. Damn, I want to see some gameplay. Okay, this is the reveal trailer. When is this coming out? May the 20th? Friday. Okay, so there should be some gameplay trailers out by now. I want to see what that's looking like.
Yeah, it looks cool. It looks really cool.
It's an action RPG. I got also like a little hints of like Devil May Cry in there as far as the battle mechanics look like. Anyway, I didn't
definitely a lot of influences there from a lot of what's become, which is not a bad thing at all. You know, we're all influenced by everything that came before. So, so all right. So that's it for our gaming this week. Brian, what do you have coming up this week?
Talk+Play blerdcast. Music has been my focus as of late, so covering a lot of music.
Have we talked about Kendrick yet?
Huh?
Have you talked about Kendrick yet?
That's coming up.
Okay, all right.
This week, yeah.
I think I may be episode 2 behind, so I'm just like, I hope I ain't miss it.
Oh no, yeah, that's coming out. This I don't know, within the next day or two. Kendrick album on there, and Jack Harlow, some gaming stuff. The Doctor Strange, my review for Doctor Strange will be on the episode as well. Like, this is gonna be a cool one. So that's pretty much it. And then, you know, here with you, NRW Checkpoint, talking all these wonderful games that we got coming out this week.
That sounds great. You know, I listen, so I'll definitely be listening to it when it drops. For me, episode 109 is out. I'm not getting everything. It's too much to really talk about. 110 will be out. More than likely, the day this drops or the day after it drops, talking about they announced a new Doctor Who. There are a lot of new Doctor Who, David Tennant and Catherine Tate coming back. So I'm excited about that. Talking about the new Resident Evil on Netflix, which is okay. Talking about what exactly is seersucker in the sartorial slice, and of course talking about Halo and Strange New Worlds. And the fragrance of the week is actually the one I'm wearing today, and that's Sweet Taboo by Chris Collins. So I'll be talking about all that this week, so you can find me there. That should be out by Saturday morning, if at the latest. Also, I currently started Centoil Sunday radio show on Wisdom app, so that'll happen sometime during Sunday. Don't know exactly what time, where I talk about all the fragrances of the week. So if you are on Wisdom and want to join Wisdom, download the app and join to the fragrant discussion. And of course, more importantly, I'll be here with my man Brian Sapph and our wonderful producer Kuya P every week on the NRW Checkpoint. Of course, you're on the NRW Checkpoint. That means you are with the nerds who rule the world. So, of course, Nerds Rule the World. Find us on Twitter at the NRW. Find us on Instagram at New Release Wednesday. And of course, you are on our channel. So make sure you like, share, and of course, subscribe.
Be better. God damn it.